She's a vast development consultant and gender human rights advocate who has thrived in the area of advocacy for 12 years. Her engagements with international organizations, corporations, and foreign governments in 4 continents to develop and implement sustainable economic, political, and public policy spans over 27 years. She has responded to the rally cry for more women representation in the political sphere and has contested elections 3 times. She was the only female candidate in both parties, both PDP and APC, to contest the National Assembly seats from the northwest of the country. Recognized for her contribution to society and community advancement, she has received numerous awards worldwide. Constantly aware of the major role that her community played in her development, she views her passion for voluntary work towards empowerment and nation building as the only path to take. The Bilkisu Magoro Foundation is her brainchild. The foundation focuses on empowering women and youth. She opened Bilmore Technical and Vocational Center for Special Needs Children in 2016. Her interest in sound governing structures, education, social policies, and reform has seen her journey to over 38 countries. She has strived to create awareness of how Nigeria and Africa's tremendous opportunities and capabilities far outweigh the challenges faced on the continent. Join me in welcoming Dr. Bilkisu Magoro to today's program. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
How did you first get into female activism and human rights advocacy? Can you tell us about that?
Well, would I say human rights and feminism and activism? Well, it's one of those things. I think this was in the early 90s, when I came back home, and I just realized that a lot of things were going around, trying to settle in and trying to understand a lot of things. And I realized that a lot of activities that took place, a lot of women were not participating in it. And then trying to get women to participate was something that was like a Herculean task. So during one of the activities that we did with UN Women at that time, there were lots of, trying to get women into political, become more active in politics, because we didn't have quite a number of women in politics as of then. And, the women involvement was not a lot as of that time. So in the 2000s, I was very active in trying to, create more awareness. And part of what the programs that we do with the UN Women at that time, was to discuss politics and women being part of, politics and getting involved. So they said, okay, look, you women here, I mean, you're all talking about politics. Why don't you just, why don't you contest? Why don't you be part of those that participate in the politics itself? Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. And that's basically, I think that's when I got into the politics itself, became much more interested in what was going on and, trying to get more women involved. Being from the Northwest, from Kebbi State, there weren't women participation at all, practically none. And so, those areas, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, was one of those areas that were very silent. And so I thought, it's an area that we needed more women involvement. And we have a lot of women, when I say women, we have a lot of problems at that time that are they're not voiced out because we're not, involved in what's going on. So if we don't participate, then who would know what our problems are? We just knew our problems amongst ourselves as women.
Okay. Were there experiences from your growing up years that made it easy for you to be able to participate?
I think, from my background, my father played a major role because what he did, as that time when we're young, we're all mostly girls. We just have one brother. Wow. And he made
all girls.
Yeah, all girls. Oh, well, bless him.
Wow.
Yeah. And
He's
so
blessed.
He is blessed. That's why I said bless him, So majority of the, he made sure, education was paramount. We just had to get educated. We must go to school. He gave us the best of what he could give. And he made us very independent, to be the people we wanted to. And so I think that played a major role because, it's made me very independent and being able to be vocal in what I do.
All right. Having been, in this space for quite a while, do you think we still have a long way to go in terms of equality?
Okay, so it depends on what you mean by equality. Equality in what sphere? As in
Female representation?
Representation, okay. You see, there are a lot of things we need to, when we talk about equality, is it that we want to have the same number of women in the workplace, the same number of women in politics. If we're saying that, we have, you know very well that in the political field, that the number of women involved in politics has actually reduced a great deal. So we have a lot of long way to go with regards to, women participation in politics. But if you look at the workplace, we see a lot of women have, come up their different careers, and most of them are excelling in their different careers too. That, we've made progress, and, we look forward to more women taking up more, managerial positions and heading organizations and, leading in different areas in there. But in politics, we have I think we need to do much more, extra work. There was a time that we came up, there was a good position, number of women in politics, but it's really, really, gone down. I mean, an example, as I said, and you mentioned, is that in the National Assembly now, we don't have a single woman from the Northwest. I was the only contestant, female contestant in 2019, both from the APC and the PDP at that time. And of course I didn't get the seat. So automatically in the National Assembly, we don't have a single woman from the Northwest. We have only just one woman that is in the State House of Assembly in Kaduna, and that's because she went to court and she was granted that seat after election. So if I'll talk more about the Northwest, that's where I'm from. And there are lots of other, cases in different parts of Nigeria too. But, it's sad that we don't have, so far that we've gone in democracy, we don't have women representation. So who actually is speaking for the women from the Northwest now in the National Assembly, both in the Senate and House of Rep? We don't have anybody. So we have a lot of work to do.
So why didn't you contest for the upcoming, are you contesting?
2023, no, I'm not contesting.
So why?
3 times, I think it's, you need a break. Politics, it's not always about, contesting to win. When you create awareness, I believe I created enough awareness, especially from where I come from. And there are more women being involved in politics now than before. And with the advocacy that has taken place, there are more women that are contesting in elections now. Sad and happy to say that I have a dear friend that is contesting for the House of Rep, and she's the only female contestant now for the National Assembly too, but she's from Kano.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Amina Bibi Farouk, and I'm praying very hard that she wins the elections and she gets into the National Assembly for the House of Rep. We have 2 women too in Kano State going for the State House of Assembly. So there are more women, that are getting involved, but it's very, you can just count them.
So what do you think are the challenges hindering women from actively participating, especially, those from northern women?
If we look at the, the primaries, when they come, there are lots of women that come up for primaries. Most times it's from the primaries that they get dropped out. They don't win their primaries to go on to, the general elections itself. So that's where I think there's a major problem. So we have to look at the parties. Sometimes, would say that parties put on to the electoral laws that women would get free tickets and but that doesn't really work out. That doesn't get them to, to general elections. There must be, it must be put into place where parties must elect women to go into general elections, not for them to be able to buy the, get in for primaries
for free,
and then just get dropped at the primaries. Okay, so we have to look at how can we get more women to participate at the general elections itself. At the primaries, there are lots of women, but they get dropped off, And I think, some parties make it very difficult at the primaries because you spend so much money at the primaries, and funding is another problem for women when it comes into politics. The party itself has to some way nominate you, so it's either you go through the primaries and with the delegates, and you end up winning that the primaries for you to be able to go into the general elections, or if they sit down and there's a round table kind of agreement within the party, the women too have to really struggle hard so that they are the people that have been nominated to go into general elections. So there's a bottleneck between the primaries and the general elections. It's not getting buying the form or getting the form. You get the form, you go into primaries, but then that's why all the women are dropped after primaries. You end up not having women going to general elections, And some of the women that have been dropped from the general elections, from the primaries, are very good and competent women. I believe that will probably win elections for their parties if they got the chance to go to the general elections.
So do we see women forming a party, strictly all women political party, just to drive this cause?
It's been tried, but I don't think it's actually worked. Nigeria is not all women. It's everybody. So you can't really say that you're going to create an all women party, all men party, or it's an input of everybody. We need, to work together. If politics is not about individuals. We're trying to work at a nation to build Nigeria and see the progress of Nigeria. So nobody should be left behind. Everybody should be able to participate in the development of the country, Nigeria. So women too must participate. People with disability must be part of it. Men too, the youth must be included in it. So we must find a way that we can balance the involvement of everybody, but politically and in nominative positions, to be part of, running the country, development of the country itself.
Okay. Away from politics, how and why did